Shows that had come out in a long time. Time is like not enough. They need to have Little Alchemist. Haruhi. Excited. Welcome, Miss Helen. So rad. And Booty Farts 22 already welcomed her. First, I am so excited. Welcome, Miss Helen. So rad. And Booty Farts 22 already welcomed her as well, which is, you know.
Oh, I remember Booty Farts. What's up, Booty Farts?
Booty's a regular. We love him to pieces. Guys, I am super psyched to have Caitlin here. Caitlin has done a ton of voices. If you want to multitask, you can go to her IMDb right now because it's a lot. It's a lot to take in. Try and do the big ones. But she is Winry in Full Metal Alchemist. Haruhi. Okay.
Good job.
In Ouran High School Host Club, Kami in Street Fighter, and Mina in My Hero Academia, which is like the biggest show. Holy cow.
Right now, yeah. Yeah, it's like when Overwatch first came out, and that's all anybody could talk about. Now it's My Hero, so yes.
My Hero's been going on for some years, though. Like,
it has.
Yeah.
It was kind of a slow burn. I think with shows like My Hero, like shonen, boys action shows, not that it's just for boys, but that's what shonen means in Japanese. Typically, fans like to be able to binge it. So one at a time is like not enough. They need to have lots to watch, and then they become obsessed with it. So for the first year, we were a little scared because it was like one of the most expensive shows that had come out in a long time, and people weren't super into it. We knew it was good because we were working on it like, holy crap, this is a great show. People are going to love it. But it took like a season or two before it really caught fire for everyone.
So usually I like to go in chronological order to understand where the wee little Caitlin came from. But we're like in it right now with My Hero, and I'm very curious. So let's just kind of like bubble that right now. You do a lot of anime work from Texas, and for My Hero specifically, is it one of those things where, you know, the show comes out in Japan, it's there for like a couple months, and then you guys start dubbing? Or are they working on simultaneous recording in Japan while they're dubbing? Like, how did you know it wouldn't be a hit? You know it was good, but it might not. Like, what was that, you know, what's going on there time-wise?
So I can't speak for the people at Funimation who actually do the acquisitions part of the job. But when My Hero first came out, this idea of what we at Funimation call simul-dubbing, so dubbing a show that is currently airing in Japan, That was only, we were just starting that. It had not become the beast that it is now. It's the way that we function now. Yeah. So then I wish I could remember, but I honestly can't because so many seasons of anime have passed since then. I don't remember if we were recording it like a month behind Japan's schedule or if it was just we recorded a whole season and here it is. I don't recall. But by the time we figured out, or rather by the time the fans figured out, we're into this. This is the thing we want. So maybe by season 3, we were doing what's the word that we use for it? I don't know, but day and date. So it airs in Japan for the first time and it airs in English for the first time, same day.
Whoa!
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So what that means is that they just have sent materials to us far enough in advance that we can write a script and get it all recorded. I mean, ideally, I don't know how long translation takes, so I can't answer for them, but once script adapters get the information, they can adapt a script in about a week or less, but we give them a week. Yeah. And then we record it in a week, and it gets mixed in about a day or two, and then we're done. Off it goes.
Cow.
Yeah.
They're like, that's crazy. Is that a lot of pressure? Because
it's so much pressure. When we first started doing this, I remember the producers coming to us and all the directors were like, you want us to do what now? Like that? Okay, sure. Mm-hmm. And so our
like, not gonna happen.
Our first foray into simul dubbing was usually the show had already been airing in Japan for about a month, and then we get started on it. So the season would be like halfway finished, and our episodes would start coming out in English, which at the time was still really good. And the point was to capture the fans' attention while they're hyped and interested, because they've seen all of the previews and they know what the next Japanese season is going to be. So you want them to start watching in English as soon as possible. And it took us a while, but like we went from 1 or 2 simuldubs to now I can't even count how many new shows we put out. It's crazy.
Holy cow. Well, I want to take a pause to say that Theme Slayer 2020 says, greetings from Turkey, Caitlin. I love your VOs as Leon in Paladins and Cammy in Street Fighter. You played those 2 characters nicely. I love that we always have people join in the stream from all over the world, literally all over the world.
That's so cool. Oh my gosh. Yay. Hi, Turkey.
Teşekkürler. So you also direct. Mm-hmm. We're gonna go all over the place here.
Please do.
So are you directing some of My Hero Academia while you're acting in it, or is that a separate gig? Like
that's a separate gig. I've helped out once or twice on My Hero, but it's not my show. Usually a show belongs to one director, and they may have an assistant. So that show is Colleen's show. She's also in it. She plays Momo. So yeah.
Cool. And have you watched? Do you speak Japanese?
No, I can catch on to certain things after so many years around the language. I know how to listen to a sentence and pick out like where the verb is and where the subject is, because sometimes you're like, what did they really say? And instead of digging through a translation, I can listen and go, oh, it's this, because I've just know random things. But you couldn't just drop me in Japan and have me get around. That would
order some food and find the bathroom.
Nope, I don't think I could.
Oh my gosh! So I've interviewed a lot of people on this Twitch thing, and they had a love for anime before, or they lived in Japan, and so they total white boy. Is it? I think Yuri Lowenthal might speak Japanese.
He's fluent.
I mean, there's so many people who just that have surprised me and that are so incredible. Crispin Freeman, I believe, speaks Japanese. But were you an anime lover before this? Like, how did this come about? Like, I love voices, but I don't watch a lot of anime. I want to be an anime, and I should watch some more. But I am curious as to your love for anime.
Sure. I did watch anime as a kid. I wouldn't call myself a fan by today's standards. Like the kids that I meet at anime cons now, I wasn't as cool as them when I was younger. But I did enjoy anime when I didn't even know that that's what it was when I was very young. I suppose I started watching it in earnest in high school when Cartoon Network began airing it in the afternoons. And I had some friends that I was in theater with. This was in the 90s, late 90s.
Was it the soccer one?
Sakura Wars? No, it wasn't that. I started watching Sailor Moon. actually.
Okay, no, I'm trying to remember because when I was a kid in Colombia, they would air an anime, and I could just remember them playing. Like all they would do was run on a soccer field. I'm gonna try, and the name is in Spanish, so it'll hit me, and I'll let you know
What is it in Spanish?
Oh, the Super Champions, los Super Campeones.
I don't know that one.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, but now I started watching Sailor Moon because I had friends in theater with me who were really into Sailor Moon, and they would have like art from it that they had printed out or books that they had. I'm like, what is that? That's cool. I want to watch that. So that's how it started. And yeah, it's kind of like a casual high school anime fan. And then I set it aside because in college I got really busy as a theater major. All you have time to do is go to class and go to rehearsal, sleep, repeat. Yeah. Near the end of that, I was getting really burned out because I didn't have a hobby anymore. And in the mall one day, I ran across some anime stuff in a shop. I'm like, I was into anime for that long. Let me try that again. But then very quickly, my hobby became my job. Like within six months or less of me going like, I'm going to watch all the anime I can get my hands on when I have the time for it. And then I realized Funimation was in the city where I went to school. I was a senior in college. And then I found out that a guy I went to church with worked at Funimation. And he gave me a tour. He's an engineer, still is. He runs the engineering department now. But he gave me a tour, and on the tour I met a director who auditioned me on the spot and hired me. What?
Okay. Thank God, literally, for church.
Yeah, literally.
Wait, let's backtrack just a little bit.
Yeah. Sorry, I know I just downloaded a bunch of
This is all great, and this is a conversation, so you can talk about anything you want. But I'm curious to understand. Before college, you did high school theater, and you liked to what was your childhood like in terms of did you do little plays in your living room? You thought you wanted to pursue theater.
I've always performed since I was young. I sang also in church with my mom. Hi, Mom.
Yeah, Mom!
She was a singer. So as soon as she figured out that I could sing, she dragged me up on stage with her. So there would be little, mom and daughter special songs at church that were pretty cute. And so all the church plays, all the little, school plays and talent shows. But then, I don't know. I wasn't really pursuing it in middle school because I picked up music. I started to learn to read music, play an instrument. So I was really focused on band for a number of years. But I had friends who started doing community theater. And after seeing them, I'm like, I want to do a play. So in high school, I couldn't have multiple elective courses. So I stuck with music. But you could still audition to be in the plays. So I was in the school plays without taking drama class. I did community theater as well. I did band for just 2 years and then switched to choir.
And what did you play?
I played the trumpet.
Oh, cool! That was so much fun. It's my favorite instrument in salsa. Oh my God.
I wasn't very good, I'll be totally honest. I had cousins, they're a lot older than me. They were in high school when I was a little kid, and I would go and watch their marching band competitions. And so I wanted to be just like them. One played the trumpet and the other played the drums. And I think that my mom did not want me to play the drums. So
yes, Miss Helen, I feel you. Also the violin, man. That's you want to not have your kid do that.
Yes. So I played trumpet, and I was just able to inherit my cousin's instrument, which was great economically. But yeah, I think it was wonderful to learn to read music, and I'm so grateful to have been in band, and I had a great time. But then it shifted from playing an instrument to singing instead. So.
Yeah. So did you ever think that you could have a career in voice acting? This thing that we call, none of us knew this. I also studied theater, but I didn't think that I could be a voice actor. What?
Yeah, I don't think I really thought that I could. I understood what a voice actor was, but as a young person, to me, that was like Mel Blanc. Voice acting was Looney Tunes, was that kind of stuff. And I'm like, well, I can't do that. And not that I couldn't. You can do anything, you guys. It doesn't matter who you are, what sex you are. It's fine. What gender you are. Who cares? But I thought that wasn't something I could do. Like, I can't make all those noises or sound like so many different things. That wasn't my jam. At some point, I figured out that, there are people who play the Disney princesses. That was a big deal. I was really into The Little Mermaid. And
did you sing, look at this stuff?
So much. Girl, yeah. I memorized that as soon as possible and would try and be like the best girl at the slumber party. Like, no, you're doing it wrong. Yes.
And you have to do your hand like this when she talks and looks at the hole up there.
And I had the hair. So I was like, all y'all sit down, okay?
Yeah.
But no, I wasn't really considering pursuing voiceover as a career. Even once I was in college, because that's when I discovered Funimation and started working there, I still only thought of it for at least a year as a gig. It was just a gig. It was something that like, oh, this will pay a bill and I'm going to go off to graduate school. I'm going to go do Shakespeare in England. Well, that's what I wanted to do.
The important things, of course.
Shakespeare is still important and I still want to go do it. But a gig became a job, became a career. And, people advised me early on, this isn't an easy niche to get into. And it's only become more competitive. So I'm glad that I stuck with it. And now it's my thing. So.
Yeah, and it's become more competitive, over the years, but also in the pandemic, like all of a sudden every actor under the sun has gotten a microphone because they can't do theater or film or TV, which is getting going. But the theater guys who are so talented and we're on Broadway, all of a sudden are like, what do I do?
God bless them.
And celebrities too,
Yeah. They're like, well, maybe Equity will get their act together, guys. Fingers crossed for you.
Yeah, but it's never like recording in a booth without anybody around. So you started working at Funimation.
Yeah.
Kind of straight out of college.
Still in college. It was still my last semester. And it was slow for, as it should be, for the first few months. People were learning, who is this person? What can she do? But I had some auditions. Funimation was really growing a lot at the time. When I got in with them, they'd been a company for less than 10 years, but they only had a handful of shows. Everybody knew them for Dragon Ball Z, and they got this little show called Fruits Basket that had just wrapped up. And
which I want to hear about because we have people here commenting that they love it.
Because now Fruits Basket has come back and I'm in charge of it now. What the heck? But back then I got in after it had just wrapped up, and gradually Funimation was getting some other big deal shows, and one of them is called Full Metal Alchemist. So within a year, less than a year of walking through the doors at Funimation, I was in this thing that was their next big thing. So I feel incredibly blessed, and I don't mean that in any sort of cliche #blessed kind of way. Like, no, for real. When you said it's a God thing, I'm like, yes, it is.
Yeah.
It was right place, right time, and not just in that instant, but for the future. The right time to be at the company.
Right place, right time, and amazing talent meeting it, because you could have been really crappy and then it doesn't work out.
True. So. And I tell people that a lot. There's always that saying in the industry, it's who you know. I'm like, yeah, who you know can get you in the door, but without any talent, you're not going to stay in the building. It's a revolving door. You just walk right in and I'll shove you right back out.
Except that one voice actor that we all know, that's just... I love throwing that out there, and then people are like, wait, which one?
Who were they talking about? It's loose.
No, honestly, I have not met a mediocre voice actor. Like, it is so insane at cons to just meet everybody and hear their voices. It's the best thing.
It's so fun. You go to dinner and everybody's reading the menu with the crazy accents and that they put on and all the characters that they do. And yes, we have a great time.
Where were we? We were in Grand Rapids, Michigan. No, where was it that you and I talked at we got to talking more, I think at the airport. Yes, yeah. After Johnny Cruz was there. I can't remember. Oh, maybe Louisville, Kentucky.
That sounds about right.
GalaxyCon.
GalaxyCon.
Gosh, I don't know. Like, my brain is mush now, but those are always the great moments because, at the con we're busy and then in the green room we don't always coincide. And then I was like, oh, okay, let's hear.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your character in the Fruit Basket thingy-majingy?
Okay, so in Fruits Basket, I'm the director. That's the main thing. But I am also in it, and I play a character named Machi, who is coming into her own in this final season of the show, which is pretty exciting. So
kind of sound like?
Machi's she's really shy and insecure. So her voice is softer like this and kind of breathy, and she doesn't have a lot of volume. And she's always like looking at the ground a lot, and yeah, she's a lot of growing to do.
Yeah,
she's gonna get there. She's had a hard life. And what's been a fun like full circle moment is on that tour of Funimation, the director that I met is Eric Vale, and Eric Vale plays Yuki, who is Machi's love interest. So it's kind of cool after all these years to be like, you know what? I'm so grateful to Eric that he heard something, because seriously, he put me in the booth and I said one sentence. And when I came out, he's like, great, give your number to Tara down the hall. And so it's like, whoa. And in the story, Yuki is so important to Machi in her life and kind of pulling her out of or the doldrums and all of the bad stuff that she's been experiencing. So it just seemed like a poetic thing to do. Fruits Basket, after all of these years, is finally getting the full story told. So when Funimation did it before, it's from a manga, and the manga hadn't been finished. So the animated version was just like, well, here's what we got. And now the fans have been clamoring to see the entire story told. And after all this time, it's finally happening. So I'm like, well, you know what? After all this time, let's make a little kind of my weird thank you to Eric.
Yes, I love it. We have Believer as Saint Caitlin is so cool.
Aw, thank you. You're cool.
Yes. And Sean, Mr. Wick, hey, Caitlin, long time no see. Haven't seen you since ASIN years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, it is.
Anime Central.
Oh, sweet. Cool. Mm-hmm. I don't know these things.
That's a good one.
I'm learning a lot of anime stuff. Anime Central is
a convention in Chicago.
Ooh, lovely. Oh, cool. Awesome. Okay. It's funny when you say manga in Colombia, we eat a lot of mango, but we also have a type of mango that we call manga.
Okay.
Because it's just a little bit, it's less sweet, and it's just we put lemon and salt on it and eat it like that, and it's kind of crunchy and green. And so every time I hear manga, I'm like imagining a type of mango, but I know that's not it. So let's talk about dubbing. I'm fascinated by it. I find it incredibly hard. I dubbed a little cartoon once, and I had my character, and he was ready to do his thing, and he was so excited, and then it was like, no, you need to fit it into that. And then all of a sudden my performances got really stilted, and I was like, this is so hard. Like, you have to find your own truth in the weird syllables and the breath and the, oh no, it's an open A, you tisked, you didn't, the scream was of this and the hum was of, it's hard. I admire you guys so much.
Oh, thank you.
At the beginning, did you find it tricky and then you clicked in, or you're just like, nah, I'm a dubbing goddess?
You'd have to ask my early directors. What was it like working with Caitlin? But I have a lot of sympathy for new actors when they come in, and I try to do my best at explaining the rules to them very quickly, and I let them know, I'm like, look, it's going to be a lot to process. I'm here for you. If you hear me repeating certain things over and over again, that's because that's something you need to latch onto, and don't forget it, and other directors will appreciate you.
Yeah.
It is hard to get used to, for sure. But I think once you have to have the right mindset about it. Instead of thinking that I am limited by what the script is saying and this timing that it's telling me to do, instead, do the opposite. And you're set free by not having to figure it out. That's like, here, look at these, here's some decisions I don't have to make anymore.
Yeah.
It's great when you're given a piece of text for the stage or the screen, and it's just some text and you can do what you want with it. Pause where you want, use punctuation how you want. But that in turn is going to affect your scene partners and all of that. But in this case, someone else has worked all of that out for you, and they've figured out the best place in the line to put certain information so that it gets the right attention that it should.
Yeah.
So it's more like playing music than it is still acting. It's still acting. So I don't want to say it's more playing music than acting.
Yeah.
But that's what I look at it as, because the timing has been figured out for you. So when you look at a piece of sheet music, here's this quarter note and this eighth note, then you're going to rest, and then here's a whole note, And then here's a high one, here's a low one. Like, okay, so high and low, your pitch isn't determined for you by the script.
Right.
That is your choice between you and the director. But in the way music.
Talk to me about English words versus the Japanese language. Every time I dub, it's from English to Spanish, and unfortunately, we have more syllables and more words to say the same thing. So I end up having to speak really fast to fit it in. I think that's my trauma with it, like especially with commercials. And then you're like, how am I supposed to make it cool when I'm just like waiting fast because I have 15 seconds?
Right.
Well, so how does English compared to Japanese, affect that?
I think that a lot of credit, all the credit practically, should be given to the adaptive writers, because it's their job to make the translation sound natural in English. I find that the opposite of your problem with English to Spanish, the opposite is true for Japanese. Usually takes them longer to say something that we can say this much. So the writer's job is to, how can I stretch this much to be, how can I make one phrase 3 phrases? Yeah. And they'll also pause a lot. So we have to find ways to make that work without just pausing in the middle of our sentence. So it's about creative repetition, right? So that it doesn't sound like you're being redundant. And thankfully, that is the writer's job. As a director, I will sometimes make changes. That's like your prerogative. But an actor doesn't really have to worry about it. They just get in and, what words do I say today? Cool, I'm saying them.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay, so you start with Funimation, and you're working on this one thing. And how does everything continue to bloom? Like what?
That's a great question. I think it started at conventions and meeting people from other markets. And that's how I ended up doing some video games. So I met Jonathan Klein, who runs New Generation Pictures out there in LA. And the first, it's not the first.
Wait, you were going to cons as a guest?
As a guest. And then Jonathan was also there because his company used to do some anime dubs. So he would go to represent he still does. Not used to. He still does. Duh. Anyway, that's how I got to meet him, and then was invited to audition for Street Fighter in 2007. And before that, I had maybe done a couple little small games that happened to come through the Dallas area. But I was just grateful to be working in my field outside of college, and not having to do any ancillary jobs that weren't arts related. And I was not against going to, wait tables or tend a bar or something like that. I wasn't against it, but I'm like, let's just see if I can not have to. And I didn't have to. It was great, because I started ADR directing maybe just a year and a half after I started voice acting. So I was directing and I was acting, doing some cons here and there. Nothing like the con circuit is nowadays. Nothing like that. So
that's crazy.
That's why it's even more remarkable that just from these chance encounters, these little small moments too. I hate using the word network because it sounds like everybody is just a connection. But I still talk to Jonathan. We're still friends. So I say it's a friendship that we started.
Friendships that end up helping for sure.
Yeah. I was invited before Street Fighter to audition for a game, and I got to go to China to record it.
Oh my God, that's amazing!
Yes!
How cool!
I went to China twice, once for this game, and then once a couple years later to do another game for the same company. But that's how I really, I guess, made a strong connection with Jonathan. I auditioned for Street Fighter. I love my Street Fighter story because it's just...
and people are asking for your Cammy voice. So whenever you feel like tell us all and do the voice and everything.
I shall tell you. This is the voice. Hello, Cammy White from Street Fighter. So at the time, there hadn't been a new Street Fighter game in about 10 years. So when Street Fighter 4 was going to come out, people were waiting, are we ever going to get more Street Fighter? Because new consoles had come out. It was time for this game to be like a next generation game. It was so top secret. You get the sides, there aren't even pictures of the characters. It's just lines, and you have to sign an NDA before you audition, all this stuff. Which to me in Texas, I didn't have an agent. I'm like, this is the most fancy thing I ever had to deal with. I'm like, all right, what am I about to do? But as a kid, I played Street Fighter. So just looking at the dialogue, I'm like, wait a minute. What? Okay, at the very bottom, scroll to the bottom, tiny picture. And I zoom in, I'm like, oh my God, that's Chun-Li. What? And I'm looking through everything, and even the male sides of them, like, this is a Street Fighter game. And I can't tell anyone. Like, I did have to tell the engineer because they recorded my audition. Like, you can't tell anybody. So I'm looking at all the sides for the women, and I thought for sure, if I would be good for anyone, it would be the character of Sakura, because she's the most like an anime character. She's just like a Japanese schoolgirl that fights. I'm like, okay, I'm going to focus on this. I'll do these other ones just because. And I loved putting on a British accent, but I knew, because Jonathan was out in Los Angeles, I'm like, they're going to be people that are really British, and surely they will get this part. I'm just doing it for fun. Yeah, but then I got the part. I just was what on earth? Okay, this is happening. Yes. So then I recorded it, and there are 2 or 3 versions of Street Fighter 4, and then Street Fighter 5. So I've been Cammy now since 2008.
Wow, that's craziness.
I love it. I love her so very much. It's the best.
And I love that you did this whole story in that British accent. Like,
I'm going to drop it now because there's probably real Brits watching, and I'm embarrassed.
There might be. Oh, I haven't seen. What's her name? Mercy Ura here. She's from Wales, though.
Oh man, I want to learn that accent so bad. It's so cool.
Yeah, it's
on my list.
There's all these accents that are on lists, man. Wow, she is here. Oh, okay, Mercy Ura is here, but it's. Your British accent is really good. Oh, and Mana Toad says, I'm British, sounds good to me. So
thank you.
Oh my God, that's incredible. Getting to travel to record is like awesome. I want all those experiences. So did you get to like visit a little bit in China, or was it like go record, leave?
Oh, I was there for almost 3 weeks. For the first game. It was a JRPG, so it was a Japanese game, but this was 2007 into 2008. So maybe I'd already landed the part of Cammy, but we hadn't started yet. So I got to be in China for the Lunar New Year, which is really exciting.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So awesome. It was also one of the coldest winters they'd had in a long time. So while I was there was snow and ice like everywhere, almost the whole time. Plus the New Year's celebration, so fireworks and just decorations all over town. It's like Christmas here, but way better. You can imagine. I just want to just stores are just draped in lights and red fabric, and it's so fun. But the reason I went to China was because of the time difference. We needed to be able to converse with Japan more effectively. So the time difference there is just an hour instead of half a day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then it was somehow more cost effective too, to fly me to China, put me up, and record from a studio there.
That's crazy.
That's Los Angeles studio rates.
Yeah.
Plus the time difference. So that's how that worked out.
Do you travel a lot to LA to record stuff, or now you can just do it from Texas?
And because of the pandemic, Los Angeles has become more open to using out-of-town talent. Dallas, for at least Funimation, we use folks from all over the place quite often as soon as we were able to access that technology. I think now we do it even more widely than we did pre-pandemic. For me, because I've been directing full-time now for 6 years or more, I was always in a studio, like 40 hours a week. So I never even had a home studio, because why spend that money when you need an audition? Let me just hop in the booth real fast. Here's a professional engineer who's going to make it sound so good. Yeah. But another really cool thing that Funimation did is they wanted to get actors that are already in their shows back to work as soon as possible in the pandemic. So they sent out equipment to us. So like way to go, Funimation. They like came up with a way, like, how can we make it more universal instead of just whatever parts you've got. I've got this mic and I've got this thing. They bought all the same mic. They got software to do it on iPads and all of this stuff so that we could get back to work. And I was able to use that equipment to start just auditioning for things. And I emptied out my closet and turned it into a booth. And so once I had a whole booth, I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's go ahead and buy the real microphone, get a new computer, get the works. So one of our fabulous engineers gave me a list of equipment, then came over, helped me set it all up. And since then, I've been getting to do other work for other places. Oh, but your question was, did I come to Los Angeles to record? I used to, yes. When I could find the time, I would occasionally get auditions for things, and if I booked them, they'd work it out, and I'd just come out there, and if it was maybe make a few trips, if it was a bigger part, I would just stay for like 2 weeks at a time and knock out a whole game.
And I'm sure you got a bunch of friends out here. Yeah. So tell me about working on Fire Emblem. That's a big game that people love.
That was fun. I think that one came about because I had done a bigger game for Nintendo called...
Never heard of it. Who?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, some small Japanese company. I did this game called Xenoblade Chronicles The X, which was a big, long-form JRPG, and I was the lead who I had like 40 hours of recording. So I worked with them for a long time. Yeah. And I guess they liked my voice, and they're like, how about...
Who wouldn't?
Thank you. They cast me as a really fun character named Matilda in Fire Emblem. And what I honestly remember the most about it is at the time that I was recording Matilda, so she's a really romantic fighter, and her partner in the game is this guy, Clive, and everything is just about, I love you so much, darling, I will fight for you, right? That kind of thing.
Does she sound like that?
Yeah, pretty much. Okay. Yeah. And she's like this gorgeous blonde woman with her fabulous suit of armor. She's really badass, and they're just like this incredibly lovely couple that could kill you so many different ways. But at the same time I recorded Matilda, of course I can't remember his name now. The actor for Clive,
Bobby,
is a guy whose name escapes me. I'm so sorry. It's just because I'm on the spot. We were in an anime together where he played my ex-boyfriend, and we hated each other, like loathed one another in this other thing at the exact same time. So it was hilarious that, I'd go from one studio where I would talk about, I want to kill that guy, and then I go down the street, and now I'm going to be like, I love you, I will kill for you.
Is it Grant George?
It is Grant George. Thank you. I'm like, It's George something, but I don't think George is his first name. Yes, Grant George. I'm sorry, Grant. You're lovely.
Dude, it happens all the time. I'll be like, what's his name again? Oh man, how cool. For a second I thought you were saying you hated the actor, and I'm like, oh, that's the worst when you have to work with a guy you hate.
No.
This is so good.
Yeah.
You said something that made me think of something else. Video games.
Everything's dancing while you think you're so dancey.
I do love dancing, and I've been listening.
You're Colombian.
Also
it's in your blood.
I am. It is in my blood, and I'm just dying to dance. We need to just open the world up to dance safely.
Yes. My husband works for a Spanish immersion school.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we lived in Spain for a year and a half. He's not Spanish; he's American, like me. But we moved to Spain to get certified to teach English because we wanted to have an experience living and working abroad. We thought we would just go to Spain and get certified, and then I wanted to go to Asia to teach. And I had been a voice actor. This was like a break. We got married, and I'm like, let's go do something different for a bit. Yeah. So the plan was to go to Asia, but we really loved Spain because who wouldn't? So we stayed. And where
did you go? What city?
Madrid. In Madrid. But we came back to the States because I missed acting. Oh. And but Tony continued to work in Spanish immersion, not as a teacher because they want native speakers, but in administration because he really believes in that type of teaching. So where I was going with this is I love going to all the company parties to be just surrounded by the culture, and all the Latina teachers want to dance with me. There's just so much dancing and warmth and love, and it's the best.
Entonces hablas un español como si fueras madrileña, ¿eh?
Oh, sí, con un acento de los madrileños. Tenemos que hablar en castellano.
Yeah, I recently booked a role where I speak Spanish as a Spaniard, and
isn't it fun?
It is, and I did the audition as best I could, and I booked it. But then I definitely called my Spanish friend, and I'm like, I'm gonna read you all these lines, and you're gonna tell me how to make them better, because like it just I take that stuff very seriously, accent wise,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Something I've learned about all of the Spanish-speaking cultures is that everybody thinks that their accent is the best.
The best.
Yeah. When we came back to the States, I was acting, but it was a little slow to pick up. Everybody, I think, was afraid I was going to leave the country again. So I continued to teach English. And what was fun about teaching English here was that my students were from everywhere. In Spain, they were all Spanish. They needed to learn English. But from here they were from all over the place. And it was really fun to have like my students from Venezuela arguing with my Colombian students over whose Spanish was better, more beautiful, or more perfect. I'm like, you guys, you're all perfect. You're all pretty to me.
You're all good.
You're like, it's funny. But English only in my classroom. Okay.
Right. Yeah, I think even for Spanish, just like when they say neutral, or they call it pan-Hispanic now for the commercial world, I always do like a Mexican version and then what I consider neutral Colombian, because you don't know what they want. And then if they say Caribbean, then you got to do Caribbean.
That is just, man, that's, whoa.
Yeah, we don't have a standard. I mean, I guess reporters in every country have a standard, like a standard. What was it called? The Mid-Atlantic or whatever. Yeah. But it's still slightly skewed to their country. It's not like this. Of course. So and like one could say this Spain Spanish is the best because it's the original. But they also like some cities have the most bastardized ways of like changing words and stuff. So.
Especially because even up there, it depends on what region of the country you're in. So if you're in the north by the Basque countries, it's going to be affected by their accent and their vocabulary. Or if you're in the east, we all have Catalan sneaking in. So, yeah.
Dude, I follow a few of the actresses from Casa de Papel, the Money Heist series. It's really good if you haven't seen it on Netflix.
I have not watched it, but I do know what you're talking about.
Since you love that Spanish, you would love it. But one of them is from, I believe, the Basque country or something, and all her posts are in that dialect, and it's just a bunch of consonants and X's all put together, and I don't know how that sounds. Like, I cannot imagine it. It's crazy.
Imagine it.
Yeah. All right, moving on from Money Heist and Spanish. Okay. Talk to me about how I want to hear Haruhi.
Yeah.
Yes. What do they sound like?
Haruhi is a bit of an androgynous character, so
I had a feeling. That's why I said they.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. So she I'm trying to like, do I do the voice or just talk about her? I think that Oran High School Host Club was a show really ahead of its time, which is why it is still incredibly popular right now, because the main character, the term non-binary didn't exist at the time, and fans may not like this, and they'll think that I'm being anti-non-binary, and I'm not. I don't think that Haruhi actually is that. I think she just doesn't care. Like, really, she's just ambivalent about the whole thing. But I understand why she is an icon for the non-binary or non-gender conforming community. Yeah. So she is a girl who is mistaken for a boy at her school because of her like short hair, and she doesn't really care about her looks. She isn't wearing the girl's uniform. She's so they mistake her for a boy, and then they realize, once they find out she is a girl, this host club, which is do you know what a host club is in Japan?
No.
Oh, a host club would be a place that single ladies or not single ladies could just go like to a bar, and very attractive men would flirt with you. And like, you have drinks and they just tell you that you're beautiful and talk to you about your day.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So, but the joke about Oron High School Host Club is that it's not something that should exist in a high school. So already, like, the title is hilarious. So it's a really rich and fancy school, and Haruhi goes there on a scholarship, which is why she can't afford the uniform, and is mistaken for a boy by the host club. She breaks something that belongs to them, and now she owes them the equivalent of like $80,000, which she doesn't have. So,
of course not. Who does?
So they're like, great, well, you can work for us as a host. They learn that she's good looking. So they put her in a boy's uniform, give her a haircut, some contact lenses, and away she goes. Yeah. So it's kind of her antics with them. And to me, the story is about her learning to rely on other people. She's an only child, a single parent. Her mom died when she was young. She's very, very smart, obviously, but doesn't know how to ask people for help, doesn't really know how to let folks in and have friends. So it's about her, finding her place in the unlikeliest of places. And also, what's wonderful about it is that everybody accepts her for who she is and how she is. And I think
like, why do you have to question it? It just is.
That's why it's so relevant. She has some really wonderful lines, like, I don't really care whether people think of me as a boy or a girl. It's what's the exact line I can't remember, but it's so cheesy, but it's what's inside,
Yeah.
A boy or girl is not who I am. Like, Haruhi is who I am, whatever that is. Yeah.
What does Haruhi sound like?
I'm Haruhi Fujioka. Welcome to the host club. Yeah.
Oh my God, I love it.
She sounds like a boy.
What? Give me some of your favorite characters that you like doing. There's some of our favorites because of the voice or the particular something that they have, like a little.
Yeah. Well, I love Haruhi because Oron was so much fun. It was just like, I look back on the 6 months working on that show as probably my favorite 6 months of voice acting ever. We just had a blast. The show is just one of a kind. So Haruhi's voice is definitely one that I would like to revisit. I already did Cammy. That is a big favorite.
You worked on Ruby. Let's talk about Ruby.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's a super cool show. And like, holy cow, popular as all heck.
I get to be a grown-up in that show.
Yay!
I'm an adult. I play the mom of one of the gals of Weiss Schnee. So I'm Willow, her mother, who has just a hard life. Like, her husband is an a-hole. And her children, she's an alcoholic, basically. She is, So she has a drinking problem, and she has to deal with this awful husband, and, her daughters who left to go fight and do their thing and left her at home with her awful husband and her son. And man, she just has a time of it. So when the audition side came my way, like, I knew what Ruby was, and I'd known the folks at Rooster Teeth for a couple of years, and I think I'd been auditioning for stuff here and there, and it just wasn't happening, and that's normal. I mean, we definitely, auditioning is the job, booking is the bonus. But when Willow came along, I was like, man, I really like this one. And my good friend Elizabeth Maxwell, it plays one of Willow's daughters named Winter. And I'm like, God, it would be so cool to play this mom character. And it was such a juicy scene. It's really intense, like reuniting with one of her kids after who knows how long not seeing each other. Mom's obviously drunk and in a place. Yeah. So it was getting to dig deep, and I didn't have to match any flaps or anything like that. It was so cool. I've actually only recorded 2 whole episodes for it, but I'm so happy to be a part of the family.
You are part of the Ruby family.
The Ruby family, the Ruby fandom.
And it's a con favorite. Like, holy cow.
Y'all are some of the best fans around, so thanks for having me.
So Michelle Noir Studio asked earlier, how can one send an audition or be on Funimation's radar? Do you guys do open calls? Like, how does...
You should check on the website, because I believe somewhere in our crazy website is like an FAQ section, maybe in the hiring section, because we are a company that needs all kinds of jobs, not just actors. to be filled. So check there, because I'm almost positive there's a link to a place for submissions or contacting the talent.
Do you guys have like a database that you just consider for things?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I know you probably use a lot of the people that like you have used.
Yeah, we have auditions every season because all 12 of us or however many directors there are, have new shows. And so we audition when we can. And but people are submitting constantly. Like every day I get, 5 or 6 emails from our talent coordinator that are just submissions. Here's
cool.
A cover
and you
letter.
Give them a listen, and you put them in different folders depending on what their voices sound like and stuff.
So check out Funimation.com and go dig around for where you can submit your stuff.
Super cool. We have a question. Speaking of auditioning, when did you and Maxwell audition for both Petra and Ymir? This is
Ymir for Attack on Titan. When did we do Titan? 2012, 2013? I auditioned at the very beginning of the whole Attack on Titan dubbing experience. And I don't recall reading for Petra. I think I read for any of the main females. So like Annie, Mikasa, Sasha, Hanji, I think, were maybe the main 4 females. And but from that, I was cast as Petra. And that's really normal. Like a show could have a bajillion characters and they'll just give you a smattering in the sides and then put you somewhere. So
so have you done theater since you started doing all your voice work? Is it something you miss, or you're like, man, I'm in this lane and I'm loving it?
I totally miss it. I feel like there were things that I should have done to get more of a theatrical career going, but I focused instead on voiceover. So I still do theater, but that is what seems more like the hobby, to be honest. But I like staying involved in it. I think it's really important as an art form. It's important to my community where I live. It's important for me as a director. It's the first place I look when I'm looking for new talent, to be honest. More than going to our database. Just because I'll know by working with that actor that we speak the same language.
Yeah. And if they've trained in theater, they are actors. They're not just, good at, like, we have to be voice acting. Acting is the bigger part of it all, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
So I do still act when I can. It's really hard to be in full-length productions if stage actor is not your career and you're part of the union, and even to rehearse is giving you money. So otherwise, especially around here, we don't have too many equity houses that can do that. And then when you're an actress, it's even harder because there are always more roles for men than women.
Welcome to our lives.
Yeah, so theater is more of a hobby, but I do still do it, mostly Shakespeare.
Yeah. Oh, cool. I was just going to say, though, there is something nice about not having to memorize lines. Just going in the booth and just reading is so delicious. You think it on your feet. You don't have to, work the scene.
Yeah, it is terrifying. Well, the last time that I did, a real honest-to-goodness, here's a play with, 6 weeks of rehearsal, 4 weeks of performance kind of thing. When it came time to perform, I was always terrified that I'm going to forget. So I never did, thank God, but it's always a fear.
Yeah, man, every time I have auditions where there's big chunks of dialogue, I'm like, damn it, for voiceover, this is so much easier.
Yeah.
There is a question of if you know when the next episodes are coming out for My Hero Academia. Actually, you might, but usually we don't know anything about when things are coming out because we're not in charge. But in this case, you are kind of on both sides of things sometimes.
Yeah, generally, and I say generally because this is still pandemic times, no matter what things may be in your particular city or how much things have opened up or how much content you see coming from Funimation, we're still dealing with pandemic situation. So a lot of recording from home, a lot of, oh, hey, I have no internet today, which means I can't record, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. We would love to be able to say every week there's going to be a new episode of such and such show. But until all of this calms down, that's not a thing. So know that that's always what we're aiming for, but we cannot promise it, which is why there isn't a posted schedule. So the best way to know what's happening is to follow Funimation's social media, and every few days they'll tell you new dubs are coming. That's usually what the post says. New dubs are coming, and then you open it up further and it'll tell you what episodes of what show you can expect to see in the next couple days.
I'm going to follow Funimation right now, and y'all should too. But guys, now that we're talking about that, we did have a few people mention that now they've hit follow to the Caitlin's Voice on the Instagram. So
Thank
please,
you.
guys, do that for sure to check out all the new things that are coming out. And I wanted to ask you if there aren't NDAs that you'd be breaking. Are there things that you can tell us that are up and coming, like episodes of a new show or something you worked on?
Sure. We are mid-season right now, or some of us are wrapping up things. But yeah, so anything I'm working on now, I can totally talk about. I'm in a really neat show called Mars Red, which is a vampire show, and I love vampires. It's a co-production that Funimation is doing with Japan, and it's really neat. It's set in like the early 1900s, but it's in Japan, and my character is a little reporter, so we've given her kind of what everybody likes to call a Harley Quinn kind of voice. I'm like, well, I guess that is what it is, but I hesitate to say that it's from any American region because it's in Japan, but it really does help just with the time period. And with her, she's has more modern sensibilities, being this reporter who's always looking for new stories and new stuff. So yeah, she talks like this a little bit. And my name's Aoi Shirise for the Nito News. You going to the theater? She likes plays. She goes to see plays a lot. She
talks like she's from New York or something.
Yeah, a little bit, just a little. I don't lean into it 100% because it isn't New York. I just want it to feel more like she's a modern girl in this time when times were changing very fast. Yeah. So, yeah.
So that's so beautiful. I love the voice, guys. Check it out. Are there any life wisdom nuggets, life lessons that you can share with the people here? Right now we have 72 people watching from all over. There are questions of like, can they hit you up for voice acting tips or advice? I know we get a lot of requests, so sometimes we can't look at them. What can you say that you'd like to, give people a little nudge towards following their dreams? And
I think that you absolutely have to take a step towards them. If you at least start moving in the direction of them and see what happens. Also, don't be afraid of where the journey takes you. When we started talking about how did you become an actor, like I said, I thought I would be on some stage in England or somewhere. Like I really, once I determined acting was what I wanted to do, the classics were what I really wanted to do. But here I am doing this instead because I'm like, well, what if I followed that path? Like I wasn't afraid to let's just see. Yeah. So start, because right now, maybe for you, the desire is you really love anime and you want to be a part of telling those stories. And then people like Carolina and I and all the other actors that you follow will tell you start acting. And once you start doing that, maybe you'll discover, what I'm fascinated by is sound design, or
the lighting or set design. Like, yeah.
Yeah. So get moving. Isn't it? Whose quote is that? Henry David Thoreau, go confidently in the direction of your dreams? Or is that like Eleanor Roosevelt? It's one of those ones they like to put on the front of journals and stuff, or
one of those ones
around graduation time. But I wish I could remember who said it, but I absolutely believe it. Like if you're just sitting there dreaming, that's all it's ever going to be. Mm-hmm. So you just have to start moving towards it. And know that it's really cool when the thing that you love becomes your job. But then it can start to take over your life that way. And you don't realize it because it's a thing that used to be a love and now it's a livelihood. So you focus so much on it and then you could maybe start to hate it. So it's really important to maintain a balance and find other things to escape from that. It's hard. Like I'm saying these things to remind myself of these things.
Yeah. Well, it's also like just remembering that we have a life.
Yeah.
Outside of just auditions and like that one character or that one project saying no, and then we go, oh my God, my life is over. It's like, life goes on. We have to go out and see friends and we have to go take that walk in the woods or whatever, Yeah.
And cultivate friendships that are outside of your career. And that doesn't mean you can't be friends with people who do what you do, especially as actors and creatives. We become kindred spirits with one another. So I understand why actors are friends with actors and musicians. But I think it's good for then those pairs of friends or groups of friends to find something to do so they can go do it and not talk about work. Not talk about work.
Yeah, exactly. Or when you are taking that one voice class wherever and you meet other people who are doing similar things, and then together you can maybe start a voice collective and you practice scripts, or you help each other out, or you hear about an audition and then you recommend your friend who speaks German. Like you just never know how it comes around. So it's and nowadays with the internet we can do so many things,
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Oh my gosh, yes. They're giving you follows. People are connecting here, which I love. Like Booty Farts is connecting to Michelle in our studios because they're interested in voice acting. So that's what it is, right? It's creating community and trying to help each other out.
I mean, that's how I got most of my bigger gigs early on, as we said. I just met someone at a convention who's like, you should audition, and now I'm in Street Fighter. Okay?
So cool. Yeah. Man, I lost my train of thought. I was going to ask you, do you teach class at all? No. Voice.
I would really, I have.
You should.
Yeah, I have. I feel a little strange about it because I am in a position to hire folks to cast. At Funimation, we don't have a casting director. Directors cast their own shows. So I feel weird taking people's money, knowing that I can give them jobs. I did do it, and I have guest taught for my friends' workshops when they're in a bind. And then I thought, well, let me try this myself. And I wrote up a curriculum, and I had a good time doing it. But ultimately, I just felt weird. I'm like, are they expecting me to hire them now?
Totally.
And even if they weren't, I still felt that way. So I don't know.
And you're busy. You're also doing so much already. Teaching is, it's 100% energy going at that, and it's intense. It's
it
a
really
lot.
is. And I took a class recently from Andrea Toyas at Blizzard.
She's great.
And it was such an amazing class, and it also made me go, oh, this is what a class is supposed to be. So I feel like I would not want to teach again until it could be as good and as beneficial to those taking it as hers. It was just oh my gosh, just this massive download of information. And she was so giving, and she spent so much time with everybody reading through all of their pieces. I'm like, God, that's what I recognize that I would want to be able to give that much. And like you said, teaching is time consuming. I don't have it in me.
And energy consuming.
Yeah. I'm
exhausted
married.
after.
I have to give attention to my husband and my family. So,
Yes, absolutely. Oh my God. Thank you so much for
this has
joining
been awesome.
Today. This has been great. I do love the cross-pollination. People come for you, they come for me, and then they go, oh my gosh, so many people here that come onto the streams often are just digging everything you do and are so excited to check out what the voices you've done. So that just makes me happy. And then I get to know you better because I'm never going to sit at a con with you and ask you all your life questions.
Well, now I can ask you all of yours the next time I'm with you at a con. And then the next time we hang out will be BFFs because we'll know everything about each other.
It's funny. I always get invited to cons in Houston or where else I haven't gone to Dallas. I guess there's Dallas Fan Expo. Maybe that's the one.
Oh, yeah.
Hit it up. But we'll probably, the next time we meet up is going to be in I don't know, South Carolina or something, because that's how life goes.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Super. I just wanted to give one shout out, two shout outs, sorry. I'm so used to saying Diva Waifu. He's the screen name that's on here. It's Waifu Extreme rated us earlier, which means they came in with a bunch of people to watch. And then an anonymous gifter gave Waifu Extreme one sub for 1 month. So thank you so much.
That's so sweet.
I know, yeah, people subscribe, and it's you got to shout them out at the end because it's fun. Everyone's thanking you online. You're not watching the chat, are you? No, okay. They're thanking you. Such good tips. It's a lot of love and hearts happening, and people connecting. So it's sweet. So thank you, Caitlin.
Thanks for coming. This has been so fun.
Absolutely. Keep booming and booping, guys.
That's right. Boop.